we're going to work on some pre-algebra questions. The first one that we are going to work on is Company A sells 60 pins for $15, while Company B sells the same type of pins, but this time they sell 40 for $8. Which company's price per pin is cheaper, and what is that price? So let's think about this here. We have 60 pins for $15 for Company A. How do we find out how much per pin that is? Well, we know that we have $15 for 60 pins. We have to divide this out. So if you take 60 into 15, let's see what that gives us. Well, 60 can't go into 15, so we're going to have to, we know that it goes in there 0 times. 0 times 0 is 0. 0 times 6 is 0. That brings down 15. So we're going to have to add a decimal and add zeros. So to bring down the first 0, well, 60 can go into 150. So 6 goes into 15 2 times. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 6 is 12. So we subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. 5 minus 2 is 3. 1 minus 1 is 0. So now we add another 0. Bring that down. 60 goes into 300. It does. 6 goes into 35 times. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 6 is 30. That equals out to 0. We have 2 decimal places, so we'll put our decimal. So, Company A is selling their pins for 25 cents each. Now we need to do the same problem for Company B. We know they're selling their pins for $8 for 40. We take 40 into $8. Well, we know that 40 cannot go into 8, so that's 0. That leaves us with 8. Bring down is 0. 40 goes into 80 2 times. 4 goes into 8 2 times. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 4 is 8. That adds our subtraction. 0 minus 0 is 0. 8 minus 8 is 0. We're left with 1 0. Bring it down. Well, 40 goes into 0 0 times. We have 2 decimals. So, Company B is selling their pins for 20 cents each. So we can see that Company B has the better price per pin. They're selling the same type of pin, but for 20 cents rather than 25 cents. So that's the better deal. Our next problem is, what is the least common denominator when adding the fractions a over 2, b over 3, c over 9, and d over 15? We need to find a number that 2, 3, 9, and 15 can go into. We also need to make sure it's the least common denominator, meaning the lowest possible number that all of these numbers can go into. Now we could multiply 2 times 3 times 9 times 15, and that would give us a common denominator, but that would not be the least common denominator. We want to find the smallest possible number that all of these can go into. We know that this number has to be even because it has to be divisible by 2. 15 is our biggest number, so we should try to find what the multiples of 15 are that are even numbers. Let's try 15 by 2. Excuse me. 15 times 2, let me just erase that. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 1 is 2. Plus 1 is 3. So 2 goes into 30. 3 goes into 30, but 9 doesn't go into 30, so that one's not going to work. Well, 15 times 3, we know that 3 times 5 is 15, so that's not going to give us an even number, that's going to give us an odd number. We can try 4. 5 times 4 is 20. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. Well, we know 2 goes into 60. Yes, we know that 3 goes into 60, but however, 9 does not go into 60. So that one's not going to work. We can try 5, but that's also going to give us an odd number. So let's try 6. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 gives us 90. Now, can all of these numbers go into 90? Well, 2 can go into 90 45 times. 4 times 2 is 8. Minus gives us 1. Bring down the 0. 5. So 2 times 45 equals 90, so that one checks out. 90 divided by 3, well, 3 goes into 9 3 times. That gives us 9. Bring down our 0. 3 goes into 0 0 times. So 3 times 30 is 90. That checks out. Well, we know 9 goes into 90 10 times. So that checks out. And we know that 15 times 6 goes into 90. So that checks out. So our lowest possible common denominator is 90. Our last problem today is this one. When Angela was cleaning out her refrigerator, she found 2 bottles of ketchup. Looking at the labels, she noticed that the capacity of the larger bottle was twice the capacity of the smaller bottle. She estimated that the smaller bottle was about 1/3 full of ketchup, and the larger bottle was about 2/3 full of ketchup. She poured all of the ketchup from the smaller bottle into the larger bottle. Then, about how full was the larger bottle? Well, let's think about this. We know that 1 small bottle is equal to 1/2 the large bottle, because it says the larger bottle was twice the capacity of the smaller bottle. So 1 small bottle equals 1/2 of the large bottle. Well, we have 1/3 in the smaller bottle. If 1 small bottle is 1/2, then what is 1/3 of that 1/2? Well, we can multiply 1/3 by 1/2 to see how much that would be in the large bottle. Simple multiplication of fractions. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 2 is 6. So we know that 1/3 in the small bottle is going to equal 1/6 in the large bottle. So if we're adding 1/6 to the amount that's already in there, then we just add it up. So there's already 2/3 in the large bottle. We're going to add 1/6 to that. So if we add up our fractions, we can't add this problem unless we have a common denominator. So 3 and 6 can both go into 6. 6 goes into 6 one time, so we multiply the top and the bottom by 1. 6 times 1 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 goes into 6 2 times. 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. Now we can add 4 plus 1 is 5 over 6. So when Angela adds the 1/3 from the small bottle to the larger bottle is going to be 5/6 full. Now, we can check our work to make sure this is right.